Hey, this is Harris Feldman. I'm actually in Hollywood, California. No big deal, I pretty much live around here. But it's about 99 degrees out, and I have cornered James Lee and Marvin Acuna. Well, that's Marvin Acuna and James Lee. You guys are going to have to sit a little closer together for me since I didn't frame it yet. Actually, you're fine right there. Perfect. Marvin and James co-own a site called The Business of Show. Oh, wait. The Business of Show Institute.com. How do we follow you on Twitter, James?
My handle is James D. Lee.
James D. Lee. Because I just tried to check and follow him, and somebody else is James Lee. And how do we follow you?
Marvin V. Acuna.
Marvin V. Acuna, spelled?
A-C-U-N-A.
A-C-U-N-A. Okay. And then Marvin is also a, he's represented film writers for a long time, and now a successful Hollywood producer. The most recent, tell them the most recent film again.
The most recent film is The Great Buck Howard, starring John Malkovich, Tom Hanks, Emily Blunt, Colin Hanks.
So a bunch of nobodies you threw together. Yeah, you're doing all right. All right. So this is again, this is Harris Feldman with failyourway.com, and we're gonna ask these guys. Let's see if you can top my biggest failure so far. What's been the biggest? James, you first. What's been the biggest failure that you've ever had, and how did you overcome it?
I'll tell you something interesting. Was my first job was as an assistant at a talent agency in Beverly Hills, and I won't give the name, but
it wasn't CAA.
No, it wasn't CAA.
I should just start going. It wasn't William Morris.
Yeah, it wasn't William Morris. Stop that.
All right. So, we'll get there eventually.
Exactly. So all through college, I did some internships, and I thought that I wanted to be a talent agent. And this is before Entourage came out, so no one had any idea what I was doing. You know, they had no frame of reference and all that. And so I went through what was called a pilot season, which is just like probably the craziest time of year for television. And to tell you the truth, it was a very tough environment where you got to watch your back. There's a lot of jockeying for position. And I realized that I didn't want to do something like that.
The jockeying.
There was a lot of, I hate to say that the backstab, it's very competitive, everyone wants to be the next, it thing, everyone's looking out for their own best interest, to the point where people will deceive each other, and at least in my particular scenario. I didn't want that, and I realized I was working really, really hard, and, if I were to work on, for myself and build a business for myself, then I would be doing a lot better, and I'd be a lot happier, more fulfilled. So as a result, when my review came up, I very much let it happen that I was like, I'm good, I'm done. And but for some reason, that felt like a huge failure to me as well, because for the past 4 years, I had been, preparing myself to become a talent agent. I was an agent in training. And so for me, that was kind of a dark hole for a bit, I knew it was coming, but at the same time, when they were told, hey, listen, dude, I don't know if this is for you anymore, because I was online at this point, figuring out what I wanted to do with my life. Still, a dream that you wanted to accomplish to become unfulfilled is still a pretty hard blow for, I think, anybody. And when that happened, that was a pretty big failure in my life that I would say, is the dark night of the soul, as you would, as some might describe it. So.
All right, how about you, Marvin? I'm sure everything you've done has never failed. Everything you touch turns to gold. But
that's right.
What if you? What would be your biggest failure that you can think of?
Well, I would say my second feature film. I had completed my first production. I'd raised some funding, and the investor had originally promised to allow me to shoot the film in Los Angeles. At the last moment, decided that I needed to shoot it on the East Coast. And being that I was so invested in the project and had put so much time into it, I made the decision to go shoot the picture on the East Coast, where my network of relationships had not been as rounded or established as it weren't here in Los Angeles. And so ultimately, after about 4 weeks of pre-production, we ultimately had to shut the production down. We ended up having to close up shop, and that was probably one of the hardest things I had to do.
Did you lose money?
We lost money, and in the end, we had to walk away from the experience feeling really just A, disappointed that we failed, B, disappointed that we lost money, and third, that I thought that would not happen to me. And so it was a huge identity crisis for me personally. But when I sat with it and thought about it, I I realized that it was an incredible experience. And to date, the original investor of that picture continues to work with me because he felt that we made the right decisions at the right time. And in the end, while there was a loss, the loss was not overwhelmingly significant. More importantly, I chose not to take any of my compensation. I put it back into the venture, and I walked away from the piece in a loss the way he did. Maybe not at the same scale.
Right.
But that was probably a huge loss that I had to come to terms with. And it wasn't until a very good friend of mine sat with me and said, well, now you know how not to make a film.
Right. Well, that brings me to the other question, which is, do you think you view failure differently than other people? And you got, and I'm on both of you, so you can have a discussion about it, or just, since we're on you already.
Well, here's what I would say with regards to my view on it. I don't know that it's different other than the fact that it's just my view, and that is, I look at failure as an opportunity to learn. It is not the easiest lesson, and sometimes the emotional attachment you have to the failure creates a fog. But if you can just take one step forward.
Yeah, you weren't feeling like it was an opportunity to learn the day you were shutting that down that film.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, all right, there's an opportunity to learn.
No, it's a huge fog, and there's a lot of emotion that kind of charges you up on this path. But if you can just take one step forward every single day, then you will get through the path, and as they say, spring follows every winter.
Right.
Summer follows every spring.
Right on.
Well, you know, I would give the Business of Show Institute as a bit of an example. And one thing I think that we have going for us is that we fail fast. We've never had a problem with testing ideas out, and when they don't work, yeah, I mean, some might classify that as failure, but we simply redirect our efforts. So I would really say that it's just the way we do things. I think maybe a lot of other people might be risk adverse, but luckily when we fail, we go, okay, well, now let's go and do this in a different direction. You learn so much about your market, and we do some things that totally didn't resonate with our market. Luckily, with the way we do our marketing, and hopefully a lot of you are doing this the same way, we track everything. And when something doesn't resonate with our people or our prospects, we know very quickly that that's not working. Yeah, that's a failure, but at the same time, now we know that's not the way to go.
And Marvin, that was part of what you said, like you really like about the direct response internet marketing side of things, was such a fast response. You don't get that in your other world.
Absolutely. I could spend 2, 3, 4 years on a project,
and maybe people think it sucks.
And maybe people don't like it, and certainly that's always something to deal with. But in direct response, the one thing I've really enjoyed is that my contribution, James' contribution, is immediately rewarded.
Right.
That I would have to say has been the best part.
Yeah, right on. All right, guys. Well, thanks a lot again. This has been Harris Fellman with FailYourWay.com, joined by Marvin Acuna and James Lee from the BusinessOfShowInstitute.com. Peace out, y'all.